How's it going, guys? My name's Wilson. The biggest villain in the NBA today, Ben Simmons, who continues to make headlines indicating he won't be reporting to opening day of training camp and never intending to play another game for the Sixers against. That's not surprising. After that humiliating, devastating, pathetic Game 7 performance, Ben absolute travesty Simmons continues to reveal his true self, not wanting to be better than he already is, already 4 full seasons in, and still scared to shoot the basketball, making that max money, could have, would have, should have been a superstar by now, but only he can elevate his game. Too many flaws, the lack of professionalism ever since his college days. Simmons is who he is at this point. Why would any team want to take a chance on a guy who lacks discipline, not willing to get better, and not suit up and just be a pro? It appears the 25-year-old will cause more harm than good wherever he goes. Perhaps that's why Philly's struggling to find a trade partner for him. Anyways, we'll take a look at 7 players from the 2016 draft class most teams rather have over Ben Simmons right now and going forward for the coming years. Starting with Malcolm Brogdon, the 36th pick of the 2016 class, the 28-year-old been stellar ever since coming to the league, more than worthy as a borderline all-star after coming off averages of over 21, 5, and 5. The one big advantage Brogdon has is his ability to shoot the 3 ball at a 39% clip. Although Ben more physical and the greater talent, Brogdon takes care of the ball just as well, very active on D, one of the most slept on players. In 2019, when the Bucks put up 50, 40, 90, something Ben Simmons can never even dream of sniffing. More like 50, 20, 60 if we're being honest. Brogdon, a better version of a younger George Hill, can get timely buckets, strain the open shot late in games. Replace Simmons and insert Brogdon during the closing stretches of Game 4 and 5 versus Atlanta. The Sixers would have beaten the Hawks in 5 games. Brogdon being a near 90% foul shooter, if you want the ball in his hands late in games, where if Simmons' team has a 5-point lead and he gets fouled, there's a high chance Simmons will cost his team the game by breaking free throws, unless he rises to the bench or improve on his awful free throw shooting. Philly with Embiid in win now mode, Simmons doesn't have much to prove in the regular season, but will need to prove to stay on the floor for future playoff series. Malcolm, on the other hand, has more important skill sets, makes him more useful throughout late playoff rounds. According to Jason Dumas of Bleacher Report, Philly turned down a deal with Brogdon and a first rounder. Philly might sadly end up settling for less. Pascal Siakam proved himself as a key player for a championship team. The 27-year-old, the face of the Raptors, improved heavily from his rookie season. You'd rather have a least talented guy with high work ethic being a most improved player winner to all-star than having all the talent in the world besides heart and work ethic. Spicy P, also the leading scorer for the 2020 Raptors after Kawhi left, averaged almost 23 points, over 7 boards, came into the league with no outside shooting but respectable 36% from 3. Siakam went just 1 of 7 from 3 as a rookie and now attempts over 4 outside shots a game when given the green light. Despite going an ugly 29 of 132 his second year from 3, that's 3 times as many attempts as the pathetic Ben Simmons in 4 seasons combined. Ben going 5 of 34, all the time to get better in the offseason and getting paid the max. The so-called bootlegged franchise player hasn't even attempted more than 11 threes in any of his 4 regular seasons. While Siakam, extremely valuable for the 2019 title team, averaged 19 points as a role player in 24 postseason games, even shot over 4 threes a game, dominated against Orlando, averaged 22.5 points on 53% shooting. Scoring numbers Simmons will likely never average higher in any future series. Siakam also 5 20-plus point games over Simmons' Sixers in the 2019 semis. Pascal's averages of 19.4 points compared to Simmons under 12 a game. Siakam clearly performed better in those matchups. Although both weren't great in Game 7s, Simmons very passive, attempted just 5 shots. The final game, if he was just a little better, Philly would have won that series and already have a title, but Simmons simply held back Butler and Embiid. Siakam in the finals put up 32 points on 14 of 17 Game 1 shooting versus Golden State, one of the most efficient games for any active player in the finals. A closeout Game 6 of 26 and 10, making 3 of 6 threes. Even when Simmons have good scores on his team, he's proven to be incapable of putting up big postseason scoring numbers when needed. The only 30-point playoff game Simmons ever had after Jared Dudley got under his skin. That energy from Simmons been missing ever since. Although Siakam nowhere near as efficient as a main option, he's a better second and third option offensively than the lack of aggression Simmons. Caris LeVert, the 20th pick, injury slowed him down from being more noticed and talked about. A great scorer, gets better every season, became one of Brooklyn's main options during the rebuild, heavily improved, even had a 50-point game. The 27-year-old a safer bet for Indy to have over Big Oladipo. In the 5-game series 2019 playoffs, LeVert averaged 21 a game on 49% shooting, all-star caliber when healthy. After coming back from kidney surgery, averaged almost 26 points throughout his final 10 regular season games. The Pacers been banged up. Without T.J. Warren, if Indy looks to get past the first round for 2022, it will be because of LeVert's continuous improvements, also capable of taking over games, hot at stretches, willing to take game-winning shots, still has upside as a scorer, can score on anybody one-on-one, making around 18 mil each of the next 2 seasons, way more worthy than Simmons' ridiculous contract between 31 to 38 mil till 2025. Domantas Sabonis, the former 11 pick, one of the best skilled bigs in the game, fundamental just like his pops, coming off a worthy all-star season of over 20 points, a dozen boards, nearly 7 assists, has a case for being one of the top 4 best big men in the game, the best player for Indy last season, continues to get better every year, wasn't expected to do much besides being a decent role player, even almost averaged more assists than Simmons last year. The double-double machine had the longest double-digit point and rebound streak in Pacers franchise history to open up the 2021 season. Although struggled a little bit towards the end of the season with minor injuries, Indy heavily increased his workload. Sabonis already 2 all-star teams, no accident, consistency, and knowing what you can get every night, a safer bet than the lack of improvement Simmons. Domantas Sabonis in 2021, clearly a better NBA player than Ben Simmons. Jamal Murray, despite the ACL injury, I'll still take Murray in the coming years over Simmons, who had an incredible bubble run. Although Murray's not as great in regular seasons, can absolutely light it up in big playoff games. 5 seasons in and no all-star teams yet, Murray's rise in the game absolutely matches what needs to be done to win close games. The 24-year-old has the clutch gene early on, dropped 23 his first game 7 against San Antonio, stellar in the Portland series in 2019. Despite being inconsistent and having some off nights, Murray even had 2 50-point games in the Jazz first round bubble matchup. The 50 points scored, more points than Simmons had from game 3 to game 7 versus the Hawks combined. In fact, Simmons game 5 to 7 disaster, only a combined 19 points. Even Murray's off games doesn't shine away from the moment. Murray's game 7 versus the Clippers, a 40-piece, outscoring Paul George and Kawhi Leonard combined, something Simmons will never do in any playoff series. There's no question, most would take Murray on any team over Simmons. A Murray-Embiid tandem would be way more effective than Simmons and Embiid, especially Murray more than capable of closing out games. Simmons' liability outweighs his elite defense. Jaylen Brown, the 3rd pick, came off having a breakout season, averages of nearly 25 a game, 6 boards, over 48% shooting, and a decent 3-ball. JB continues to improve, at times looks like the best Celtic on the floor, had talks about being one of the most improved. The 2016 class supposed to go down to a 2-player race between Simmons and Ingram, the comparisons and discussions, but JB proved himself to be in the conversation and has a chance to go down as the best player in his draft class. Been in plenty of big playoff moments. The 2020s playoffs averaged nearly 22 a game, including scoring 20 plus his last 5 postseason games, while Simmons failed to reach the 20-point mark in his last 10 playoff games. Becoming more evident by the day, Simmons turning more into a Draymond Green type role player with way better talent than Draymond, but without the leadership, hunger, and work ethic. JB's good enough to one day become an all-star starter if he continues to raise his production, a dream wing for any team to have, while Simmons too much of a liability. Brown's way more polished because of work ethic. While Simmons remained the same since his rookie season, Brown also ranked higher amongst the shooting guard rankings than Simmons for his position as a point guard. Ben Simmons not even close to a top 10 point guard in the league after his postseason meltdowns. Brandon Ingram, the 2nd pick of the 2016 class, it appears Simmons was the runaway best player after 2018, while Ingram struggled early on, putting the work from averaging 9.4 points as a rookie, unpolished and raw, 3 underwhelming seasons with the Lakers to becoming an all-star for the Pelicans, the only bright spot for the awful franchise in the Anthony Davis trade, B.I. went from averaging nearly 24, 6 and 4, improved in all areas of his game, embraces the clutch moments, constantly stays aggressive, and can become an all-NBA type guy, to averaging in the mid to high 20s and scoring each of the next 5 seasons and coming. It's too bad Ingram had to deal with awful coaches early on, from Luke Walton to Alvin Gentry to Stan Van Gundy, because Simmons was pretty much the consensus first overall pick. The question now becomes, did the 76ers franchise make a mistake overlooking some of Simmons' terrible work ethic and lackadaisical attitude with LSU? Although he knew he was going to be in the NBA and felt college was a waste of time, Simmons cared so little, even failed to earn a 2.0 grade point average. That eliminated him from contention from the John Wooden Award after a disappointing end at LSU. From not even making the NCAA tournament, the team even refused to play in the NIT. Anybody who loves to compete in basketball, regardless of talent level, would have absolutely balled out in college. Imagine if Steph Curry didn't want to play in the NIT because his team didn't make the tournament. Simmons' lack of interest carried on 5 years later when reports show Simmons won't even report to training camp despite not being traded yet after losing terribly in the playoffs. Sure, not every player is happy being on their teams and prefer to play elsewhere. Many people hate going to their jobs every day, but continues to show up and remains professional. For somebody who's getting paid $33 million, okay with getting fined, and sit out before the team trades him, absolutely shows weaknesses. Even if he was really working on his game and improved his shot during the offseason, prove he can put up 24, 8 and 8 and easily silence all the doubters. Simmons more than capable of putting up those numbers given his talents. If he can just shoot as many threes as Rondo, Simmons can easily become a top 15 player by next season if he has the mindset, but unfortunately he doesn't. Even refused to play for the Australian national team. Could have gained some confidence. His excuse was to work on his game every offseason. Those same videos in pickup gyms simply don't translate to the playoffs when he's scared to shoot the damn ball. This is a reason why Simmons is now the most hated player in the league. Philly would have honestly been better off keeping Markelle Fultz instead of the troubling Simmons. It's still an absolute travesty to this day. Simmons won Rookie of the Year over the better Donovan Mitchell. That debate ended months ago. For a guy who's supposed to be a generational talent, a future superstar, compared to the likes of LeBron and Magic, there's no reason why Simmons shouldn't be a top 10 player in the league already, given his talents. While guys like Giannis continues to get better and embraces the challenge, Simmons simply runs away when things get tough on the court. The process went down the drains because of Simmons. The Sixers better do something quick before franchise superstar Embiid becomes unhappy and they lose him too. The attitude of Ben Simmons over the years has been an absolute travesty on all cylinders. Given all the drama and difficulties, I won't be shocked if Simmons never becomes an NBA All-Star again. Instead of going forward like all the other guys on this list, Simmons' career appears to be going backwards, has nobody to blame but himself. Thank you so much for watching this video. Is there anyone else from the 2016 class you'd rather take over Ben Simmons for the coming years? Let me know in the comments below. Which teams do you think Ben Simmons will end up after Philadelphia? Will he ever live up to his potential, or will just remain the same player and continue to be a liability in the playoffs? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. I talk NBA comparisons, amazing storylines, current NBA history, and anything basketball that will interest you. So, you love NBA basketball, hit the subscribe button. I love all of you. Much more great content coming soon. See you next time.